So when we have started this chapter, bonding, what we have studied was in the first class, I have just spoken about the quantum numbers. Okay. If you remember, we were just talking about the quantum numbers. So we can tell that we know that there are 4 quantum numbers. Okay. Principal quantum number, magnetic quantum number, azimuthal quantum number, and spin quantum number. And we have done an exercise where the values of n, l, ml, okay, and what is the orbital, that is the designation of the orbital depending upon the value of n, l, and ml. Okay. Now, how to write a configuration? To write a configuration, we should follow some rules. That is, we should follow Aufbau principle. We should follow Hund's rule of maximum multiplicity. Then we should again follow the Pauli exclusive principle. Okay. Then I said that there are, from the configuration, you will get the term. Okay. So what are the things that are leading to the formation of the term is, so from the configuration, because of these interelectronic repulsions, terms are developed, and these terms are again splitting because of this spin orbit coupling. We are telling interelectronic repulsion, that is whatever electrons that are there in the orbitals, penultimate orbitals, okay, because of their repulsion, the energy levels are splitting into terms. Now these electrons, again they will have a spin moment and the orbit moment, okay. Because of the coupling of that, again they are splitting into states, and again when they are exposed to the magnetic field, that is, you call it as Zeeman effect, okay, you get at the end that are the microstates. So how to calculate any microstate? So you have the formula. So microstates are the end energy level after which you don't have any other splitting of energy levels, okay. That is why you call it as micro. Now, how to calculate how many number of microstates are there for each configuration? You can use this formula, that is 4l plus 2 in whole factorial by q factorial 4l plus 2 minus q whole factorial. Now, what is that you are getting from n? That is number of microstates. L is nothing but your orbital quantum number, and q is the number of electrons. Okay, so we have done a table where we have seen what are the microstates that are obtained for each configuration. So we have done S1, S2, P1 to P6, then again D1 to D10. Okay, so we have done all these calculations. Okay, there are different formulas also to calculate. Okay, now to study these interelectronic repulsions, or to study these spin orbit coupling, you should study about, all this is already done, I'm just going out very fast. Okay, so you should know what is orbital angular momentum and the spin angular momentum. So for studying the orbital angular momentum, each electron will have its own orbital angular momentum, and when I do the summation, I will get a overall, that is a total orbital angular quantum number, and you represent it as capital L. Okay, now how do we say if capital L is equal to 0? The symbol you can give is capital S. If it is 1, capital P. If it is 2, capital V. So these are the designations you can give depending upon the value of the L. You are omitting J because J is one more quantum number, which is also we have done. Okay. Now how to do the vector coupling? So we have done for calculate the overall L value, total L value, how to do the vector coupling. So we have done in different configurations. Okay, we have done in P2 configuration, we have done in P3, and when we have done in P2 configuration, the values of the total orbital angular momentum quantum number, we got it as 210, which is represented as according to the symbols D, P, and S. Okay, so for P3 configuration, what we have done is, for P3 configuration, what we have done is, we have done the same thing, okay, and we got the values as, you can see here, values as X is equal to 3, so it is a F state, L is equal to 2, D state. Here again D state, E state. So all this we have already done. That is for the P3 configuration. Now for PD also we have done. D2 also we have done. Now after this orbital angular momentum, we should say what is spin angular momentum. So we know that every electron, single electron will have a value of half spin, right? So if it is one electron, it can be either plus half or minus half. If two or more electrons are there, you should couple the spins of those electrons, like you have coupled the orbital angular momentum. Similarly, you have to couple the spin angular momentum. Okay. So for P2, that is when two electrons are there, I can do two ways. That is both of them in the same direction spinning. So I have plus half and plus half. So resultant will be the capital S, that is equal to 1. If it is in the opposite direction, I will have the value as 0. Okay. So if the spins are in the opposite direction, you have the value as 0. So if it is a P2 or if only two electrons are present, whatever may be the orbital, okay, what is that overall S value you are getting? Resultant spin quantum number capital S is either 0 or 1. So when only two electrons are there, either they spin in the same direction or in the opposite direction. So if it is 3, I can have different values again. It can be 3 by 2 or it can be half. So these are the values if it is 3 electrons. Okay. So again, this is summation. That is, this is often capital S. Total spin angular momentum is summation of all the spins of the single electrons. Now we'll couple both the spin and orbit coupling. Okay. And the resultant, whatever you get, that is by coupling the capital L and by coupling the capital S, whatever you get is nothing but one more quantum number known as J. So what is that you are doing? You are coupling the total and orbital angular quantum number and well as the total spin angular quantum number. When you interact them or when you couple them, you are getting a new quantum number. You call it as total angular momentum quantum number, which is a vectorial combination of both L and S. Okay. Now this combination of L and S is properly studied by Russell-Sanders, or you can call it as LS coupling or Russell-Sanders coupling. Okay. So we have done this Russell-Sanders coupling also in the class. So this is an example vectorial coupling I said, right? So using this, how to couple this? So if L is equal to 2, S is equal to 1, the resultant J will be equal to 3 when they are in the same direction. So if I put it at an angle, it will become 2. If I put it in opposite direction, J will become 1. So I can write the J values. Okay. So I said L is equal to 2, naturally the term symbol will be D. Okay. Since S is equal to 1, you will have 2s plus 1 states as 3 and the J value here is 3. So this is how you write in the spin Russell-Sanders coupling or in the LS coupling. So you have to write the whole term in the LS coupling. So this we have done taking various examples. Already all this we have done. I'm just giving you the summary. Okay. And how do you pronounce it? You have to pronounce triplet D2. So this is known as triplet. If multiplicity is 1, you call it a singlet, 2 doublet, 3 triplet, 4 quartet, and 5 is the quintet. Now, whatever we have done with the help of the vectorial addition, okay, we are getting many states, okay. So it is not a proper method of doing because it shows that it is not following the Pauli exclusion principle. So what we have to do, one more method is developed, that is derivation method. Okay. Now in this derivation method, we have to arrange these. So this is for the P2 configuration. So for the P2 configuration, you will get 15 possible combinations. So we have just arranged them in a different values, calculated MS, ML, and for all these things, we have calculated the symbols. Okay. So from this, it is clearly shown that it is having only 15 microstates. So this method works out. We have done this method for P1 configuration, P2 configuration, okay, and we have done for the D2. So this is for P2, P1. Sorry, P1. It is having only 6 microstates. Okay, then I've given you one statement that it is either P1, S1, D1, F1. What is the term that you are getting? You are getting, if it is S1, the same term symbol, okay, and you will get doublet S. So if it is D1, it is doublet D. If it is F1, it will be doublet F. Doublet F. Now for D2 also we have done. D2 we have done, that is, it is 45 microstates. This we have done in the class already. Okay? So this is what we have done till now in the classroom. So that's why I just wanted to give you the summary. Okay? Now, after knowing how to derive the terms, okay, so we have done for P1, P2, S1, D1, F1 as well as D. These are the configurations for which we have calculated the term symbols. Okay, so now we will see what after this, what is the things we have to do. Okay, suppose if the shells are, how to derive the term symbol if the shell is completely filled, or if it is a closed shell. Please mute yourselves, whoever has joined. Okay, so today's class, this is a new thing we are learning today. Okay, till now we have done just the summary. So if it is a completely filled shell, like it is P6 or like D10. Okay, now let's look at here. The p orbital is having 3 orbitals. Okay, so all the 6 electrons I have put here already. Then when all of them are paired up, overall spin will be 0, right? And when everything is paired up like this, the L value, total L value, orbital quantum number will be again 0, because here I am having 2 plus 1, 1. Each electron is having plus 1, plus 1. So total plus 2. Here I am having minus 1, minus 1. Total minus 2. Here it is 0. So when you add all the values, that is plus 2, 0, minus 1, it becomes 0. So what is that we are getting? L value is 0, S value is 0. Now calculate the 2s plus 1 term. 2 into S is 0 plus 1. So 2 into 0 is 0. So plus 1 means 1. So I am getting 1 here, 2s plus 1. Now if the L value is 0, we know that the term symbol is S. Okay. And calculate the J value. J value will be L plus S. That is nothing but your 0. So I will have singlet S 0. Same thing you do for D10. Everything is becoming 0. So again I have only the singlet S0. So it clearly shows that if it is a closed shell, what is that we have? We have only the term symbols will become same. Are you all observing? So for any closed shell, the term symbol is same. So if you take S2, S2 will also, you will get the same term symbol, that is, you will get singlet S0. Okay. Now once we get these symbols, how to put them in energy order. Suppose for D2 you have got, how many did you get? You have got different symbols. See, if you see for D2, how many did you get? Triplet F, triplet T, singlet G, singlet D, singlet S. So many energy levels are there. Now how to put them in order? In order means the lowest energy level should be kept at the bottom. Then you should keep on arranging the energy levels. As you increase the energy levels, you should arrange them like that. So what are the rules that you have to follow? Now whether singlet S1 will come down, or triplet F1 will come down, or singlet G1 will come down, that is what you have study. So for that, you should study these Kund's rules. So he just gave 3 rules, simple rules. Okay. So how to put these states in a increasing energy order. Okay. So once we know the terms, you should be able to put them in the increasing order. So the first rule says that whichever is having the largest S value. What is S value? That is the multiplicity. 2s11 we put, right? So wherever that S value is more, okay, so you have to put that as the lowest one, because what is happening whenever the S value is more, okay, largest S value, stability is decreasing and S is also decreases. So this ground state, it should have more unpaired spins and gives the minimum repulsion. Repulsion should be minimum. So what you have to remember is whenever the multiplicity is high, that will become the lowest energy. Okay. So next rule is, we'll just take an example and do the rules again. Just remember, first rule is you have to use the highest multiplicity. Then if the multiplicities are same, what will you do? Then you go for the checking the L value. So whichever is having highest L value, that will be more stable. So first is S, highest S. Then if S is same, you go to the L value. And if the third one, that is if both S and L are same, what you have to do? You have to check the J value. Okay. Now depending upon the J value, you have to again write the energy level. Okay. So suppose this J value, it is different for if the shell orbitals are less than half filled or more than half filled. So what is happening? J value will take the smallest value if it is less than half filled, and J will take the highest value if it is more than half filled. So remember this, we will just do that same thing with the help of an example. Now look at the P2 configuration. Now for P2 configuration, I know that the terms are singlet D, triplet P, singlet S. This is I have got from the derivation table. Okay. Now from the LS coupling, we know that singlet D, I have only singlet D2. Okay. So here we are writing the with the J values also. This is also we have already done. Okay. So singlet D is having singlet D2. Now triplet P is having 3 J values, that is triplet P2, triplet P1, triplet P0, and singlet S is having singlet S0. So these are the different terms, or these are the different states after this LS coupling. That is, you are able to write the S value, L value as well as the different J values. Okay. Now we will apply. So now so many terms are there. Now which one will you put now at the bottom? Now once you see all these things, that is singlet D, triplet P and singlet S, which is the one which is having the highest S value? S value is for the triplet P. So I have to write this as the ground state, or the one with the lowest energy. So we'll put triplet P as the lowest one. And again in this, I have 3 levels because of 3 J values. So I have triplet P2, triplet P1, triplet P0. Okay. Now here S values are same, L values are same, all are triplets, all are having the P symbol. So what should I consider? I should consider the J values when I am arranging the energy levels. Okay. So what is that we have to do? We have to see the J values. That is, first rule is when it is highest S will come. Okay. Now suppose both S and L are same. How to do? I should check the J value. Now which J value I should take? Because I am talking about the P2 configuration, if this is less than half filled, right? If it is above 3, I will tell it is more than half filled. If it is less than 3, I will tell it is less than half filled. So since it is less than half filled, what should I take? The third rule says that if it is less than half filled, I should take the value as smallest j will be the lowest one. Okay? So what is the smallest j? That is the j with the 0. So I have written the order here, energy order, which tells that triplet P will have less energy when compared to triplet P1 when compared to triplet P2. Okay? So we know that. Now other things that are left are in this. So we have done with the triplet P. We know about, now we should study about the singlet D and singlet S. Now look at the singlet D and singlet S. Now among these two, what is happening? Here the multiplicities are same. So I should go to the second rule, which states that whatever D value, L value, whether it is D or S, whichever is highest, right? The second rule tells that here S is same, so L is different. So one is a D term, one is a S term. So I should use rule number 2. So whichever is highest L, that will be more stable. So among these two, which is more stable? It is singlet D2. Okay. So I will write after triplet P, the next level will be, so you can see the diagram here. So the energy is increasing. I'm talking about carbon in the ground state, where I'm talking about the configuration P2, right? This is what I'm talking. So in this, I have 3 energy states, that is triplet P, singlet D2 and singlet S. Since the multiplicity is more, triplet P will occupy the lowest energy level. And again, this is split into 3 levels because of 3 different J values. And since it is having the J is taking the lowest value because it is a less than half filled configuration. So triplet P0, then comes triplet P1, then comes triplet P. Among these, this is singlet D2, then singlet S. So this is how you have to arrange all the terms and states depending upon or using the Hund's rule. So the important Hund's rules is, it is, first one is take the maximum S value. If S's are same, go to the second rule, that is take the maximum L value. If both S and L are same, then you please take the J value. That is, if it is less than half fill, you have to take the lowest value of J, and if it is more than half fill, you have to take the highest value of J. Okay, hope you have understood this energy ordering with the help of the Hund's rule. Okay. Some important point I have just written here. So the term symbol for any, if it is empty, filled or half filled, it is S. Okay. And if it is single electron also, that is what we have already done this. So it is S1 is S, P1 is P, D1 is D, F1 is F. Okay. Now the next thing you have to study is a small topic, that is JJ coupling. Okay. So you have seen that RS coupling before we have studied, right? Where we have put both of them in the capital letters, or LS coupling. Okay. Even they were right. So we have done RS coupling. Okay, we are writing everything in capitals, and LS coupling. Both are same, right? What is that we are doing here? We are studying about the JJ. Can you see I have written both small letters, that is JJ coupling. Okay. Now, what is this JJ coupling? We know that first we'll understand, we'll try to remember what was in RS coupling. So what did we do in RS coupling? We said that the S values of all the single electrons will couple to give capital S. All the L values, small L values, coupled to give you capital S. So when these two are coupling, you will get this RS or LS coupling. Okay. Now this is always possible, operates for atomic number less than 30. Okay. Now when you come to JJ coupling, this operates for atomic number greater than 30. So up to 30, you have this LS coupling. Above 30 atomic number, you have this JJ coupling, that is small j and small j. See, Whenever we are writing small, it is for single electron, right? Whenever we are writing capital, it is for overall the whole number of electrons. Okay. So when you see this, that when I am writing small, that means I am talking about the J value for a single electron. Okay. So instead of all these coupling, that is small L1 plus L2, so all like this coupling. What can I do if I'm having more number of electrons? So each electron will have one L1. Okay. It will have one S1. Okay. Now if I couple both of them, whatever I'm getting is nothing but small J1. Right? Small J1. So single electron, if it is coupling, you will get a small J value. If capital L, that is overall coupling is there, you will get capital J value. Okay. So I will have for one electron J1, then for the second electron I will have one more J2, right? Then for the third electron I will have one more J value. So depending upon the number of electrons, I will have either J1, J2, J3. So what is happening now? For single every electron, I am coupling both the each and every electron. I am coupling both the orbital angular momentum and the spin angular momentum, resulting in the total angular momentum of that particular electron. So when I am coupling these small j's, you call it as JJ coupling. Okay. So here, what we are doing is here we are showing that L and S. Okay. Now single electrons they are coupling to give you the small j, and when the small j values are coupling, you will get the capital J value. Okay. So why is it that after that coupling is known as small jj coupling? This is very important. The Hund's rules, how to order the energies, and the jj coupling they always ask in the exam. Okay. These are very easy. If you listen also, you can write. So in this, why is that this JJ coupling? I said that this small JJ coupling is present in the heavy metal ions, that is heavy ions, that is after the atomic number 30. Why is it like that? Because whatever nuclear charge is there, it becomes high, and once the nuclear charge is increasing, what is happening? It is forcing the orbital as well as the spin angular